Party's not a party's a man who fights crime, and we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time with John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Attention, citizens of Fair Gotham. Welcome to Bat Minute of the Phantasm, the show that blows the competition away. Toots! I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
And here is a co-host who always has a soft spot for you, dear listeners. It's me, Niall McGowan.
Oh, I thought you meant me.
Oh, you as well, John.
The listeners?
You're just jealous. That's why my spot is only hardened for you. Because of your jealousy, your constant jealousy.
I can't help it. You pay more attention to these stupid listeners than to me, but that's fine. That's fine. Because I've got some other people to pay attention to me today. We have two wonderful guests. We are joined by Adam and Rachel of TMNT Minute.
Hello.
Hey there.
Hey. Welcome.
Glad to be back. Thank you for having us again.
It feels like ages, but this is such a weird season, I can't quite tell. Because it feels like we started this season last week at the same time.
And it was actually like in January, and it's like, as we're recording, it's the end of July, and it's like, this year has just vanished. Like it just didn't.
It really has.
Yeah.
It really has.
The last few years have been like this.
Yeah.
I think this is just what happens when you become old.
Yeah.
Yeah. And losing those 3 years to COVID kind of caused a time dilation in my brain.
Yeah, that did not help matters. I've lost
No.
all concept of time and reality.
Yeah, I always want to say to people, if they ask your age, you're like, well, 36, but technically I would say 33 because I've only really lived, so many.
Yeah. It's like the blip from the Marvel.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way to compare it.
It's minute 59. The minute starts with a long gaze, and it ends with a longing, plus a gaze.
A gaze all over this movie.
Yeah.
Not as much as in the Joel Schumacher movies, but
Different type of gaze.
Oh, of course, yeah. So we come in here. This is Batman is. Oh, actually, no. Before I always forget to do this. We do always like to ask the guests because Mask of Phantasm, highly acclaimed film, but also not all that widely seen by a lot of people. Where do you guys come in with this film? Like, were you one of the illustrious few who saw it in theaters, or what's your history with Mask of the Phantasm?
Up until now, I didn't know there was a theatrical release of this movie. To reference the coveted Batman animated book, the book actually describes it as a direct-to-video release.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They really dismissed this thing.
I think it did so poorly they don't want to acknowledge that it went to the
we talked about it's literally the previous week where it was released on Christmas Day of 93. And Mark Hamill has an anecdote where he went to the theaters with his family, and then there's so few other people in the cinema. The other people who were there, he just invited to come up and sit with him because he was just might as well just make it a party while we're here. But,
Yeah, why not? I'd like to see a movie with Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I reckon he's a great person to watch a film with.
Yeah.
If I want him to do a kind of. Imagine him on Mystery Science Theater, one of those kind of things.
Oh, that would be great.
That is great.
Watching some schlocky, sci-fi movie.
Laughing at every joke, full tilt. Laugh.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. Mystery Science Theater is back now. It's just not on Netflix anymore.
Yeah.
They launched their own streaming service. I helped kickstart it myself, actually. I say that like I donated thousands of dollars. I didn't. I gave them $30. So maybe get him in, because now they've got they have a rotating cast of hosts and guests as well.
It's weird though. As I was preparing my notes for this, man, I've got a couple random tidbits about Mark Hamill, and one of them just weirdly ties into Mystery Science Theater.
Whoa!
As well, in that, I'm not too sure who's currently doing it now, but remember Felicia Day was doing She was.
Oh, she's still involved. Yeah.
Oh, she's still like the, what do they call her? Kinga, I think her character name was, where she was like the guy. She was the person inflicting the movies on the guy.
As of this morning, they have just sent out to me from America 3D glasses to use while watching their streaming service called Kinga Vision.
Ah,
that's so funny. I was just last night at an all-night drive-in theater showing called Schlockorama that had a bunch of movies from Mystery Science Theater 3000. So there was This Island Earth, It Came from Outer Space, the Manster, and the Brain That Wouldn't Die. And It Came from Outer Space was presented in 3D.
Yeah.
So we had the goofy red and blue glasses, and then I made the mistake. I usually always wear yellow tinted glasses, and that makes that not work.
Oh, no. Devastated.
No.
Yeah.
But no, the thing is just because I remember seeing Felicia Day interviewed years ago, and she was saying like, oh yeah, she was like a military kid, so she like moved around from place to place and like never really settled in a school and stuff, and was always having to make new friends. I remember the host been like, what, really? Like, you're real? Like, those people actually exist? Like, I thought that was the thing they just made up for movies. And apparently, Mark Hamill, also one of those kids, like never really had a home. Like he was always home. Yeah, it's no home.
You're talking to one of those kids, me.
Oh yeah, but you're in Pakistan, and then you kind of had places where you stayed for long periods of time.
Well, 4 years. 4 years, then move. 4 years. Then
This is like literally like he'd be there for like a month and then have to go somewhere else. So then this kind of thing. But it's always one of the things you always saw, particularly in '90s, like children's films and stuff. And it seemed like, they just make that up for like a way to introduce new characters into situations. But so, it was a shock when this person was interviewing Felicia Day. It was like, that's an actual thing that happens. You were real. And apparently, Mark Hamill also the same. But I'll save all of that for later when we get into the Hamill section of the minute. But so you guys, I'm assuming that you saw it. If you weren't aware that it was a theatrical release and it was just a rental scenario for you.
Yeah, this would have been a Blockbuster rental, and I feel like I didn't see it until like later, like high school or college.
Yeah.
Or I think I may have even caught it on Cartoon Network.
I feel like I did too. Like I didn't see all of it, but there are parts of this movie I remember more than others. And I think I caught it on Cartoon Network once upon a time.
Yeah.
I think I have a bootleg of this somewhere. There was a period of time where I would just tape everything onto VHS off the TV, and this was one of those.
That's
one of those catches.
Another weird tie into a Mark Hamill tidbit. I've got that later on.
Everything's connected.
Yeah, put a pin in that. Next, I remember too. They did do. I think when it came on HBO, they did a big like. It's a movie. We got a Batman movie on exclusive to HBO, and I know you can watch. It's the only like featurette you can watch, like as of recording. I guess potentially for the rest of the time. Quite honestly, because we've had to go out and do our own research. Previous movies, there's been a wealth of research. Like 1995 Batman.com, run by friend Neil Ricketson, just has reams and reams of magazines articles that he scanned and stuff. All the work's out there for you done already. Mask of Phantasm had to really go and hunt this stuff because there's not a lot of actual solid stuff about it out there. And one of the only things there seems to be is this YouTube HBO presentation. And even at the end of that, there's like, it's narrated by Ephraim Zimbalist. In character is Alfred, which is good fun. And then over the end credits, they're like, everyone's credited as Enigma. I guess they're just like, just fire it out. Who cares? Kind of thing. And of course, we had this big 4K release. And I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up.
Yeah, but I was thinking to myself, before the end of the season, we might have a big, like, treasure trove of stuff coming our way about the creation of. Looked at the listing, special features, a featurette on Kevin Conroy.
Hey, I mean,
nothing else.
But yeah, when I Googled it to pull up the Wikipedia, I saw the Gizmodo article that was published, a few days ago, as of this recording, that the 4K remaster is coming out.
Yeah. I know it's already ruffled a few feathers because they've done a new poster.
Oh yeah,
and no one seems to like it.
No one likes anything. That's just how it goes.
That's true. Even if they used the original poster, there'd probably be a complaint somewhere. Like, you haven't put any effort in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like to jump on into to the actual minute though, we of course have come in back in Batman in proper Snoop mode. Nosing at this the locket that Andrea has kept of her and Bruce together, which is it's very sweet, but it's also very like, oh yeah, so like she never got over this either. Like,
Yeah.
in the 10 years she's been, I guess, chased, or anyone she's hooked up with, she's always, because we even saw when we first saw this locket was when she was out with Arthur Reeves. She was sitting like fondling the locket as he was talking. So I guess the whole time she's just like,
She's still hung up on Brucey.
Yeah. I mean, he is very charming, but I don't know, it's a little bit like, my mind is kind of like, Batman pining for someone after 10 years is like, well, totally. I mean,
That's on track. Yeah.
yeah, he doesn't get over things. That's kind of his whole deal.
Yeah, that's his whole shtick.
But with seeing Andrea, it's just like, girl, get over it, man. Like, it's been 10 years already. Just let it go.
That's his superpower.
Yeah.
Is never getting over
Yeah.
his trauma.
And
In a way, that is true, though. That is because that's what fuels him. You know?
Yeah.
I guess it's
he
also
even has
like,
like a
Well, that and his billions and billions of dollars.
yeah.
that's going to be one of those things, though. If you ever wrong him in the slightest, though, it's going to be like, so we can move past this, right, Bruce? It's like, no.
Yeah.
That's not what I
But
do.
is it earlier in the movie where he's at his parents' grave and he's like, "Can I be happy now?" And he's having this like internal conflict. Like, yes, Bruce, your parents would want you to be happy. Like, it's okay. You can have a girlfriend. You can get
In
married.
fact, I think it's what they would want for him over him being Batman.
Right?
They'd be like, we don't want you being a weird vigilante. Have a nice family life.
They should have been proactive and put that in their will.
Yeah.
Like, Bruce, please, whatever you do, don't use our billions of dollars to punch people in the face.
Right? There's just a rider on their life insurance policy: do not use for crime fighting.
Yeah.
If I ever make any money, if I win the lottery or something like that, I'm putting that in my will.
Good.
Or this money can only be used for Batman
Or
reasons.
be one of those like eccentric billionaires that leaves it all to a cat.
And the cat has to agree to become a crime fighter. Oh,
Yeah,
there we
yeah.
go.
That sounds on brand for John.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
No, it would be a way to revamp Batman in a way you never anticipated. It's like, it's basically Brewster's Millions, but he has to become Batman. Is the stipulation of the will. I was like, oh yeah,
You're not allowed to stop spending money until the crime rate has gotten below a certain
Right. I'm remembering a story where some lady died. She hated her children, and she left all her money to the dog. And it caused this whole thing. They were fighting about it, but, the dog has had a good life with all that money. And then once the dog died, I think then the money went to charity.
I was about to say, because I can outlive a dog. That seems pretty easy.
Yeah, no, there were stipulations, like it would go to the care and upkeep of the dog until it passed, and then it would go to like a museum or something.
It's like the Waynes left all their money to that bat that flew in the window.
Funny anecdote about bats. At least in the United States, they are federally protected animal.
Oh, same here. Yeah.
So if you put up a bat box and bats inhabit it, like that can't be removed because the bats are federally protected. So if you live in an HOA, which is a terrible thing, but if you hate your neighbors, you can put up a bat box and have the bats come to the neighborhood, and there's nothing they can do about it. They can complain, but animal control won't take them. They will just leave them.
It's a great tool if you're ever in a neighbor war.
Yeah. Build a bat box.
Bring in the bats.
I love that because, like, over here, very similar. They're protected. Like, if they move into your like attic, you can't get rid of them. You have to just like hope they go. Basically, but I was unsure if it was the same over there. So that's fascinating that it's very
That's
similar.
why
kind of
Commissioner
setup.
Gordon has never done anything about Batman. He's just like, well, he's a federally protected
Yeah,
I think
vigilante.
if you-
Like, I can't
My
touch
hands are tied.
I think if you get one in your house, they will take it out because it doesn't belong there. But if they're in your yard, that's a whole other thing.
I would
Leave
like to
them.
know the percentage of listeners out there who are like, I'm totally setting up a bat box now to spite that asshole down the
Yeah,
street.
do it. The government can't do anything about it.
Nice.
I can't believe I've never thought about setting one up like here. Why don't we do that? We're bat people now.
Yeah, we should.
I'll get one. You get one.
Yeah.
We have one, but I don't think we have any inhabitants.
No, it's
No.
not up high enough, and we have some evil squirrels.
Oh.
We do have a lot of bats, though.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. So, although, just we'll hop back to the minute though. It would be weird though if Bruce opened up the locket and it was a picture of Andrea and like some other guy.
Yeah.
It was really
Or a
just
bunch
like,
of bats flew out.
Yeah.
it's like, God damn it, every time.
You can't escape them. They're everywhere.
Yeah. I've had a lot of lockets in my life because I was sort of fascinated by the idea, but I never put any pictures in because you have to, cut them out and it has to be so small.
Yeah.
And I never wanted to cut up my photos.
Yeah.
You need to get really absurd pictures to put in them. Just the
I
most.
thought about putting a picture
There
of a
you
dog
go.
in one.
A picture of another locket.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Locketception. It just
Swamp
keeps going.
thing?
The swamp thing, man thing would be better, I think.
Skeletor.
Yeah.
I just wonder though why Andrea, because she came back with like a real attitude towards Bruce of all, when he appeared as Batman in her room, just like he's doing right now. She was really very standoffish with him, and we kind of surmise it might be because she's like, well, I'm on a mission, like I got something to do, so I don't want him interfering or to get involved in anything to complicate things. But in fact, she has the picture of him in the locket. It's like, was there at any point was she planning to like, well, once I've killed everybody, maybe I'll knock up Bruce Wayne and see like what I can do, like wander into Wayne Manor and flip him over onto his back in the garden again, like old times, and like a bit of casual assault between old flames. Like what's the harm there?
I've read romance novels with worse premises between two characters, so it's not that far off.
Or she's just someone who keeps things.
Yeah.
I have things that I should have gotten rid of a long time ago. I'm one of
I
those
don't
types
get
of
rid of
people.
anything. I keep everything. I've got stuff that's been sat in a box for about 15 years. Never looked at it, but I'm not throwing it away.
Yeah. This is like Andrea's version of that box of cables that
Yeah.
people.
Oh
like,
yeah,
Yeah, I call it the Rat King.
yeah.
It takes you about an hour to untangle the one that you finally do need after a
Yeah.
decade.
Yeah.
I got really into like crafting during lockdown, and it's become somewhat of a problem the amount of cardboard I've stashed away because I'm like, this is a cool box. I could use this for something, and then I never do.
But you might
So
do.
Someday though, Rachel.
Someday.
That day may
someday,
come.
A big industrial trash can just full of potential.
yeah.
But I wonder though if Bruce is like, if he says to Andrea, there's like, oh, so notice you kept that picture of us in the lockets, and Andrea's like, oh, you got that open? Oh yeah, again, I think about it. No, just the clasp broke. I could
Yeah,
never
it's
get
just
it.
been
Right.
stuck. It's been
That's
stuck for
great.
10 years, and he finally
Oh,
opened it.
poor
She
Bruce.
wants to sell it, but no one will take it if it won't open.
Yeah.
Do you think when he looks at it, because his expression, I mean, my initial thought was, oh, he's just reminiscing and things. But then I also thought, do you think he's maybe considering that she might be the villain when he's staring at this picture?
I think it must be within these 2 minutes. Actually, probably within this minute specifically, that he does suss out that she's the Fed. It's one of the few failings of the film is that there's no big thing of Bruce realizing that it's her.
Yeah,
Like,
you just
yeah.
find out, oh, he kind of knows now, I guess.
Yeah, he shows up later and he's just like, "Your father's dead, isn't he?" And you're like, "How did you figure that out, Bruce? Where'd that come from? Like, what happened there?" It must be from he pieces it together from the dialogue in this minute where he's just like, "Well, okay, so." The Joker was part of the Valestra mob.
Mm-hmm.
The Joker mentions on the phone that they had previous encounters where, flat out, I guess the Joker is telling him that she's the Phantasm. Cause
Yeah,
he
but
says.
why would the Joker be telling the truth? Unless he already
Yeah.
has suspicions.
I guess it's because the Joker doesn't realize that he's talking to Batman. He thinks he's talking to Andrea.
That's
And
true.
so when he's like, "Oh, there'll be no jumping out of the window this time," Toots, it's like that must be the moment of Batman been like jumping out of the window, like.
Or he still doesn't get it.
Yeah, good. I guess world's greatest detective. He's put it together, but it could also be like she met. Why did she meet the Joker? Like, what window was she jumping
What's
out of?
going on here?
What the hell was happening?
Plus, I like the idea that the Joker's calling Batman Toots. He flirts with him quite a lot.
Oh, I think the Batman and Joker are like an unrequited love story.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, 100%.
they love each other.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
But they just can't
Yeah.
be together.
Right, right.
Although this version of the Joker, I always did note that, like, because, you know, it's the kind of thing that you get throughout, like, different iterations of you know, like, you complete me, kind of stuff in The Dark Knight and things like that. And I always really noted in The Return of the Joker, where he flat out says, like, oh, I always did hate you. Like, I actually do dislike you, Batman. We're not, like, lifelong friends or anything.
They're kind of like Goku and Vegeta in that way, where they, like, kind of hate each other, but they're really best friends.
Yeah,
but neither one of them wants to admit that they love each other.
That's one of the big aftermath of Arkham City when the Joker dies. Is Batman's like Talia al Ghul dies, and he seems more devastated by the Joker dying than her.
Yeah.
So weird little detail. I'm just looking at this shot of Batman holding the locket, and there's like a shadow silhouette of him in the background, and Batman has this underbite going on of looking at the locket, but his shadow looks like it's an overbite. And just how much that changes what Batman would look like if he just had this really goofy overbite.
Oh god!
Like, I don't think I'd be
can't
afraid
see
of this guy at all.
Also, go ahead, Rachel.
It also kind of looks like if you've seen Venture Brothers, where Hank is wearing the bat mask and he keeps cutting his tongue on the slit. It looks like if it's a plastic mask, that Batman is sticking his tongue out the little mouth slit.
Oh my god! Now I can't unsee that.
Right?
How dare you ruin Batman for me, both of you?
I always thought too with because Christian Bale does have a lisp. And so when he was in the Batman suit, and it's like if he was talking, maybe that's why he had to go into like it's because no people would recognize the lisp.
They would make fun of him.
In recent times, and it is there, but it's much smaller, unless he was just covering it with makeup. Because I rewatched The Dark Knight the other day, because it's as of week of recording is 15 years since it came out.
Wow.
And if you see Christian Bale now, in the corner of his eye, the top just underneath his eyebrow, he's got a big wart that's just I think it's getting bigger with age, and it's just one of those things.
Wow.
It happens to people. But and it's notice in The Dark Knight, no, it's very, very small, but it's there. But I wonder now if he was to put the bat suit back on, would that cause an issue of well, this thing's so tight in around the eyes, and you do have this big lump right there. And it would just be, would they have to it would just be a headache for the cowl people, because they're like, do we mold a lump into it or whatever to get around that, or what are we gonna do?
Usually they do a life cast and then they build the cowl around.
Yeah.
It usually fits real tight to the face. So there's probably an indent in the inside of the mask that fits into.
Yeah, because his in particular always looked really uncomfortable. All bat suits are supposed to be uncomfortable, but Christian Bale's always
that's
looked
the whole gig.
Yeah, because he even had the I think he complained after Batman Begins, saying oh, it was hot and sweaty and I couldn't breathe and it was an absolute nightmare and stuff. And then people apparently on the set of The Dark Knight put that on a t-shirt and wandered around with it and stuff to kind of...
Oh, man.
Plus, that's all part of the fun of being Batman. You've got to be uncomfortable to get in the right headspace.
That's true.
Yeah, really absorb the trauma.
But if he ever does, because I know apparently there's all rumors now that he was supposed to be in The Flash and whatnot. But I do wonder if he ever does don the cowl again for anything, which I can't imagine he'd ever do.
No, he's the one that will be no chance.
Yeah, he'd only do it if Chris Nolan did it, and Chris Nolan's not going to do that. So, but we'd never find out what happened with the old. And now I'm just keeping an eye on Christian Bale. It's how big is this thing gonna get? I've become mildly fascinated by it. But...
I've got a question, right? Why do you think Batman here answers the phone?
Right?
I just thought that was a very peculiar thing for him to do when he's snooping.
You're in someone else's house.
Yeah, just ignore the phone.
I guess he's already crossed the barrier of well, I have this nosy git who's come in. Why is he even going to Andrea's? He's just okay, so the Joker was one of the lesser mob. I better go to Andrea's house.
Yeah.
He does think about it for a second. He's like, should I be an asshole and answer this phone?
But it would have made sense for an answering machine to pick it up.
Yeah, actually, that's an excellent point.
Why are you answering this lady's phone? You don't live here.
Although I was going to say maybe because of the weird retro futurism of this Gotham, maybe it's pre-answering machine
It's possible.
message. But I do remember
maybe.
there is an episode of the show where someone calls the Joker, and he has an answering machine message because he's like, "Leave your name after the sound of the shriek," and you hear a guy going, "No, no."
Well, maybe it was one of those luxury items.
Yeah.
Also, it's funny to me that this phone doesn't have. It's a rotary phone, but it doesn't seem to have dials or numbers on it.
Yeah.
So there's just one, or it's just one big button in the center that you just.
It can only receive calls. It can't make calls.
Yeah. It's like one of those emergency phones where you just like you pick it up and it just automatically goes to the red phone.
Yeah.
It has to be that, or it's like you just estimate where the numbers are, and I guess touch it, and I guess you still would have to rotate it around. So you're just like,
It's an iPod click wheel.
Yeah.
It is very iPodish, actually. Yeah, totally. Maybe that's the retro physics. It looks like a rotary phone, but it's actually a super futuristic phone. And we know that Andrea Beaumont friggin' loves her phones because she's on a phone every other goddamn scene of this thing, no matter where she is. Yeah, that is a. But Batman does this odd little cheek pull as well of kind of like, I guess it's supposed to be like him pondering of like, I guess I could, but then this is an odd little move of like pinch his cheek to be like, should I answer this? Nah, I'm gonna answer it. It'd be weird though if he picked up and he was like, hello, this is Andrea.
Yeah, and that's the other weird thing. He picks it up, doesn't say anything, but then the Joker just starts talking.
Oh, that's right. The Joker is the type who would he doesn't care if you're.
Yeah.
he's a rude asshole in general.
He just hears the phone click on and he's like, oh, time for me.
That's always a weird trope in movies where someone will just pick up a phone and not answer it, and then someone on the other line will just start speaking.
I guess it would be maybe if you were trying to do that, and like even if you were like a terrorist or something, you'd still be like, "Can you hear me? Like I don't want to start speaking," and then it turned out to be no one can actually hear what I'm saying.
Hello.
Well, there's that scene in Ninja Turtles where someone hands Charles the phone, and it's the police chief.
Yeah.
And he just picks up the phone, puts it to his ear, and then the police chief just starts screaming. It's like, how did he know that Charles had the phone?
Yeah. Movies and TV always have weird phone etiquette. One of my biggest pet peeves is the way people just hang up. They don't say goodbye or anything.
And there's always a dial tone afterwards, which isn't real.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
That's always that thing though. Like I think in America they're like, oh yeah, people who seem to hang up the phones willy nilly of just like, you know, particularly in movies are just like someone will say their final line and then just like cut off. Whereas over here, I think they overcompensate in the other direction where half the phone call is the saying goodbye.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, bye, and
See
people like
ya, bye.
lowering
Speak
their
soon.
heads to the friggin', you know, the handle or the cradle, I guess we used to call it.
Yeah, but you could
landline.
at least just put in a quick like, see it. You know, anything. They'll just hang up. But they do
I'm
it.
hanging up now.
But no, yeah, the Joker, as is his wont, just barges into the conversation. Presumably, I don't know if he had to be like ring the front desk maybe first, because otherwise, how would he know which room Andrea Beaumont's in and stuff?
This is a hotel, right? This isn't her house?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess he would have to be like, yes, hello, yes, I'm looking for Beaumont. She's pretty hot, red hair. Like, who is this? Oh,
It's Granny Joker.
That'd be amazing.
Miss
we need
Beaumont,
to
we
see-
have some clown for you online too.
I'll tell you what, though, when he does actually start speaking, like at Batman, he doesn't really, he's not aware of that yet. I think he sort of sounds extra Mark Hamill. I think because he's not going overboard with his crazy Joker voice, So it just sounds like Mark Hamill's reading lines, and I love that. I think that's great. It adds layers to the Joker. He's not always just, putting on an act.
I do love those moments where you can tell it's Mark Hamill.
Yeah. Let me ask y'all a question. This is something I've noticed. Because Mark Hamill's performance is so iconic, do you think that every Joker post Mark Hamill is doing a Mark Hamill?
Oh, there's some ones who are like Alan Tudyk in the Harley Quinn show.
Yeah, that specifically. I've noticed that he's just doing a Mark Hamill impression.
I think I'm certain that was the instruction they gave him as well. It was like, we just want that, and then
I feel
you
like
play
there's-
Clayface and go crazy with that, and so he does this whole "Hi, Clayface" and all that business.
I feel like there's two schools of thought with the Joker now. There's either trying to dial in Mark Hamill or doing everything you can to be something else.
Yeah.
Which I always appreciate that, even when it doesn't work. Jared Leto. But at least it was something, they were trying something new, you know?
I mean, when in our script read of Batman 1984 a couple of years ago, in which I played the Joker, I was like, originally I was going to be, I can just do Mark Hamill, and I was like, no, I'm going to try. So at one point did have to go into a whole big like, don't do that. Don't do Jack Nicholson. Don't do Heath Ledger. And then at one point tried to mix a couple of them. And it sounded like Jared Leto. I was like, oh, no. Back out.
Yeah, that's how he ended up in that space. In fact, you were being very Jared Leto, weren't you? You went meta.
I just kept this randomly emailing, or not emailing, because emailing used condoms to people. It's like, I don't know how to do that. Just take a picture of it and send it, I guess.
Yeah, you were living as the Joker. You sent me dead rats and all kinds of things.
That was another one. One of his things was like, used condoms, apparently. He sent people. I think the dead rats that's pretty bad. But then also sending like, I think he said like Margot Robbie, like used condom or something, and that's really that's like borderline like you're gonna get arrested for that.
That's like assault.
I would
gross.
just the reaction to that should be to use that to pin a crime on him. Right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, now I have your DNA. I'm coming after you.
That's just.
I'm going to do a crime. I'm going to put this DNA all over that crime scene.
Would it be more disturbing though to find out like, it's not his DNA. It wasn't him who used it.
He just found a used condom and took a picture. Gross.
Oh,
gross.
There's method acting, and then there's that. Nobody needs that. Come on.
Yeah.
I've heard from multiple sources that Jared Leto is insufferable on sets.
Yeah. I mean, I hate saying it about someone I don't know, but I could fully believe that.
Yeah.
But no. So other random little tidbits I have though about Mark Hamill. Now that he's sort of part of the minute is of course he was born in 1951, which means he would have been 41 or 42 around this time. As of recording, Kevin Conroy was born in 55, so a couple of years younger. Dana Delaney 56. So I was happy to see there that they actually like, the two love interests are sort of age appropriate for each other, because even watching like going out to Oppenheimer the other day, and like I'm sure maybe it's accurate to true life, but just seeing like Cillian Murphy and Florence Pugh having a sex scene, and it's like he's way older than her. And markedly, not to knock Cillian Murphy, but he's markedly less attractive than Florence Pugh as well. So she's just there looking stunning, and he looks like a gaunt ghost of a man, which is kind of what the character was. But also it's very just like, so she really had the hots for this guy, huh?
Last podcast did a whole series on the Manhattan Project, and they brought up that everyone in that movie, aside from Cillian Murphy, is way too attractive to be playing that person.
A lot of attractive people playing unattractive people.
Like the guy Matt Damon is playing looks like a bulldog.
Nothing wrong with a bulldog. They're cute.
But he's not Matt Damon.
Not because it's such a consistent thing though, because I remember like I don't know. Remember, it really took me out of was it Hail Caesar, the Coen Brothers movie. And you see Josh Brolin going home with his wife, and his wife's Alison Pill, and it's like, she's like 30 years younger than him. Like, what the hell is this? Like, she still looks like she's 29. He's Josh Brolin. He's like in his 50s. What is going on here? But yeah, so it's just nice to see that all these people are sort of like within the same age bracket. Keep the pin in that for something I'm going to bring up in the next minute too, actually. But no, so Mark Hamill, born in 51, he is the fourth of 7 children. Apparently.
Wow.
Yeah. And as sort of, actually, he was born specifically in Oakland, California, with also home to several other alumni, including one Frank Oz.
Oh.
So they had no idea that Yoda and Luke came from the same hometown. That's I'm sure they probably talked about that all the time on set and stuff. But
everything's connected. They should have made Yoda be from Tatooine.
But it would be weird because they probably were sitting around going like, they closed down that Kmart there. And like, what? Oh, I used to go there all the time. But also apparently Colin Trevorrow from Oakland. So him and Mark Hamill almost work together.
It was pretty close. Yeah.
But yeah, it's so weird though seeing because they have a whole list of there's a lengthy list of people who come from Oakland, including Bruce Lee, Tom Hanks, Clint Eastwood, David Carradine, Kamala Harris, and Ryan Coogler. And
Wow.
As someone who comes from a town where nobody went on to do anything, it's just like all these people came from the same town. It's like it's incredible to me. But
no, what you're talking about, you came from where you come from, and you've gone on to host a podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I had to
There
step
you
up.
go.
I had to finally go and do something about it. But it just reminded me too of that time. Again, I saw Aubrey Plaza interviewed. And someone was saying like, "Oh, so you're like probably like the most famous person to come from Delaware." And she's like, "Yeah, and Joe Biden too, I guess."
Yeah, close call.
So, some people might think he's a bit more famous than me. But.
We've got a few people from our area, like Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
Grew up around here.
Awesome.
And Will Smith, of course.
Well, I mean, if we're using the metropolitan
broadly,
area of Philadelphia, then yeah, there's a lot more. But
Well, here in
Yeah, I'm
Liverpool.
pretty sure Bradley Cooper's mom still lives in Jenkintown.
Oh.
And like he comes around once in a while.
So
yeah, I've heard of people running into him at restaurants around here.
Amazing.
Yeah, he used to go to what was it, West Ave Grill?
Yeah.
Yeah, and people would see him there. I would die. I would just fall over dead.
Good plug for West Ave Grill if
Yeah.
you're ever in the Jenkintown area.
I think it still exists.
Oh, we need sponsorship money from them before we put this in the
From
episode.
the West Ave Grill.
Oh, you'll just have to bleep it out, I guess.
But yeah, then as mentioned, he was a military kid, so military family had to move around from place to place. Because his dad he describes him as a Nixon Republican Irish Catholic dad. So I'm guessing that means he was probably a very strict asshole, basically.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
my experience with that anyway.
Yeah.
Also a naval captain, so that's where all that comes from. And yeah, of course, he had 2 brothers, 4 sisters, and hopped around from place to place most of his childhood. And then he got into acting when his dad was stationed in Japan, actually.
Oh.
And I was surprised to see this, the Niall C. Kinnick High School.
Hey.
Which I was like,
in Japan.
In Japan, apparently Niall C. Kinnick was like an American football legend of some note. He's one of these guys. Like I think he was like you look him up and it's like the pictures of some kid because he died at like age 22 because he was a college football guy, I guess. And then he went into the military and then died like within a couple of years, hero's death or whatever. And so now he's kind of a legend and stuff. But that was just weird to see that, like, because we don't have many famous Niles. Like, I'm keeping track of all of them. This guy slipped through the net. And the annoying thing is, because I always get people always call me Niles, a la Frasier or the Nanny.
I think it doesn't help that you love Frasier, so they're assuming you're getting your name from that.
It always depends. Like, are you mistaking me for Niles from Frasier or from The Nanny? Because it depends. I just want to know what sitcoms you were watching in the 90s.
Hey,
I'm reading this book series now, and there's a character named Nail, but at one point it's misspelled as Nile.
I'm
like, it should have been Nile because Nail is a stupid name.
well, Niall's not a name. Niall is a name.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why we used to have a friend. Her last name was Greensdale, and I always every time I misread it as Greenslade. And it was only years after knowing her. I was like, "Oh, is that what your name is?" Oh,
Wait, hang on. Can I just ask a question? Is it Lisa?
Yeah.
I thought it's that as well.
No, apparently it's Greensdale, and every time I don't know if it's just some sort of like minor bit of my eyes messing up or something, but every single time I misread her name as
We've known her
Greenslade.
for over a decade. I thought it.
Yeah.
Oh, for God's sake!
I thought
time
it
up and
was
called her-
Crandall.
Yeah.
Crandall.
Jeez, this is.
People add an extra I to my last name. They make it Gatlin for some reason. I'm like, there's no I there.
No one ever gets my name right.
No, your name has got too many E's. And
I have a
H's in
hard
it.
time saying my last name. It's a hard. Sheehan is a hard thing to say, especially like when I'm at the grocery store and I'm picking up an order and they have to translate what I just said to something written on a page. It's like, good luck.
At least Rachel, you could be like the gun, Gatlin gun.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, that's got an extra G on the
Yeah,
end.
you got to
but it's
drop
close enough.
that, and there you go.
But the thing is, again, this Niall C. Kinnick, he spells it like Niles without the S. So maybe that's why he slipped through my radar. I was like,
yeah.
tricksy devil over here.
He doesn't count. He's a phony Niall.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course, just, a whole bunch of random old, peppered throughout the rest of the season. Because Mark Hamill, he's very talkative about his own life, and is always happy to give people information. But of course, one of the most famous ones is that his one of his longtime friends, one Robert Englund, who of course would notably go on to play the Riddler in The Batman, not the movie version, the cartoon version. He was auditioning for a movie called Apocalypse Now. And across the way, they were auditioning for some space movie called Star Wars.
It's never going to take
That'll
off.
never go anywhere.
No.
And Robert Englund was like watching these auditions, and he was like, I think I know a guy who would suit this part that all these people are auditioning for. And he went to his friend Mark Hamill and was like, oh, you should go and try out for that. And then apparently Mark Hamill called his agent to be like, you should get me in. And they were like, oh, we already got you in. Yeah. Like we were going to call you to tell you to go to this audition tomorrow and stuff.
God, could you imagine if Robert Englund had been Luke Skywalker?
Oh, wow.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah. I kind of want to do a mashup in my head of like, I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy, with I am your father. Like, I'm your son now, Vader.
Speaking of Mark Hamill, even more, in the minute, I think he's got some amazing dialogue right here. The Joker, where he's like, even though you never call and never write, I still got a soft spot for you. It's all flirtatious. I love it whenever he's flirty.
He does a little blink. He does a little blink as well, like a very kind of like batting his eyelids, kind of blink, even though she wouldn't be able to see that if you're gonna be had got Andrea on the phone.
Yeah, but you've got to animate yourself when you're on the phone because the person on the other end can feel your energy. I think. I know that sounds all hippie of me, but I think it works. It's a bit like a podcast. I'm sitting here moving my hands like I'm David Lynch,
Oh, that's one of Hamill's big things too, is that he never sat still in the recording studio. He always said he'd always be standing up and like really getting into playing the Joker. And he's just
that's what they say about Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Oh,
when
yeah.
he was doing the genie. They just have hours and hours of him just being Robin Williams.
Yeah, I can't imagine being that audio engineer. Like, you've got to be on the balls of your feet the whole time.
Yeah, and also too, like it sounds great for us. So like, oh, what a wonderful man. But you imagine that day, we're like, Robin, we want to go home.
Please just do the lines and stay still.
Stop riffing. Stop doing the improv. Just
and you know how animators will like watch the voice actors do their thing.
Yeah.
Like that was probably kind of difficult because he's so all over the place.
Or it was just like a gold mine.
Yeah.
Like animators wish they could have performances like that to go off of.
Yeah, actually, it might end up being a good thing, but that's a lot of material. Oh, geez. You can't watch all of it. You're like, right, I'm going to limit myself. Half an hour. There we go. But then he sends a gift, doesn't he, via airmail. How lovely of him. These two are so precious.
I guess he's giving away so much as well, because like, oh, you never call and you never write. So it's kind of like, oh, so they've known each other a long time. And then there'll be no jumping out of the window this time. Toots is like, oh, I guess it was him who bombed Sal Valestra's place, and the Phantasm was outside, because the Phantasm doesn't bomb people.
No,
that must have been the Joker. And she was going to, and then so Batman's starting to piece this all together, and then he ends off by saying, "The plane of the future is going to make you hit." So he'd be like, "The plane of the future." Oh, it's the world. He's probably hiding out in the world of tomorrow. That's where he got that from. I guess that's yeah. Again, Dark Knight Detective going like up in the. Although a bit weird, he was just like, "Who is this?" Like
Uncle Leo.
I would love that.
There's a Joker too, but Batman. Sorry, who is this? It's like, it's me, the Joker.
Who is this?
This is why you wait till someone says hello before you start talking.
Exactly.
So, like, what are you doing there? It's like, I'm here. This is my ex-girlfriend's place. But what?
Tell you what, though, I hate at work sometimes. I get a phone call, and I'll introduce myself. Hi, John speaking. Blah blah. Well, actually, no. Sometimes I don't say John. I just say, hello, because I work in a pharmacy. I'll be like, hello, pharmacy, and they go. They don't even say hi. They just say, who's that? So I go, who are you? Like, you don't ask that question. Who's that? Introduce yourself before you ask who it is.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I answered the phone And we had very specific phone etiquette when in our house. And I guess I just sounded more adult. And I think it was an aunt that called.
Yeah.
And she started telling me all kinds of stuff that I shouldn't hear. I'm like, I don't think you should be telling me this. I'm not my mom.
Oh, that's amazing.
I used to do this thing where I would answer the phone with my full name. I would just pick up the phone and go, Adam Sheehan. And it puts people off. Like, no one knows how to respond to this guy just said his name when he answered the phone.
I might
I
try
had to
that.
stop doing that, though, because I learned that you should never tell someone who you are unless you know who they are first.
That's the thing. That's why
Yeah.
when people ask me, even though I'm at work, so it's probably a work thing, it's like, well, I'm not telling you who I am. Tell me who you are, and then I'll reveal it.
Yeah.
I've gotten in that loop with scam callers.
Yeah.
Where they're like, hello, who is this? It's like, well, who's this?
Yeah.
It's like,
May I ask who is calling, please?
Or like, I'll get a call and they're like, is this Adam Sheehan? It's like, well, that depends. Who is this?
Yeah. It's like,
If I'm expecting the call, like if I know it's coming, like if it's my doctor's office, I'm like, okay, I know who this
yeah,
is.
that's fair enough. You can let them off. That's okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. The standard thing now is if you see a number coming in on your mobile, it's like, well, unless I know that number, I'll probably.
I never
Yeah.
answer my phone.
You
from
let it
an
ring
unknown
out, and then you Google the number to see what it is, and then
Yeah.
Yeah, those people have ruined picking up the phone forever.
It's the millennial way. We don't answer the phone. We Google the number.
Yeah.
And then we block it.
Like a detective.
Yeah.
And I research all the websites where people go, this is a scam call, don't pick it up, or,
Yeah.
or, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. And I'm like, okay, fine, well, I'm not going to. And then usually it does turn out to be something that was mildly important, but it's like, well, you should have told me you were calling.
Yeah, leave a voicemail.
Yeah.
And I'll call you back.
Every now and again, I like to have fun with those people. There's nothing more fun than making a scammer frustrated.
I need to have the guts to do that. I want to be inspired by you. I can't do it.
Well, Adam, weren't you just telling me a story? Someone called your friend Jeff.
Yeah, my friend Jeff, who I used to be in a band with, he was our drummer. He would get scam calls during band practice and then pick it up, not say anything, put the phone on his snare drum, and then we would just play a song. It's like, well, you just ruined that guy's hearing.
he's like, it was worth it. Can I buy a CD? Like what the?
It would be funny because we would stop playing and then he would look down and go, oh no, he hung up.
But it does turn out the Joker, he's lying. He isn't sending a nice present after all. He tricked us.
No.
He tricked us.
He was lampooning me. It was all a lampoon.
I really appreciate the sound of this little plane. The
Yeah.
Otherwise, again, too, like they were dozens of them buzzing around that world of tomorrow. Must have been annoying as all hell. Just like,
Yeah.
these goddamn things again.
Like, do you ever have neighbors who have those like drone planes?
Oh yeah,
It sounds like a very large bee. Just
I just imagine too, like people working for that world of tomorrow. That just reminded me of that remember that episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm where I think it's Rachel Dratch maybe who plays the character, but like she worked in like the Warner Brothers theme park, and so it just constantly has like she's just singing it constantly. It's like it's just played
Yeah.
over and over and over every day. But those people just have that buzzing sound stuck on their head, or that
Yeah.
on to the future. It's just like, oh my god, I hate that song
I think
so much.
I think that about like ice cream van
Man,
drivers.
that has to drive you nuts.
We have one that goes around the neighborhood that just plays the same song over and over and over again.
Oh yeah,
And he'll sit and park for like 20 minutes with that song going. I don't know how. Yeah.
Like some of the ice cream vans around here too are so shrill.
Yeah.
Like it's such a. And like, imagine inside the van, you're just hearing green sleeves again. It's always green sleeves every time. I think it might be a thing, just a standard thing over here. I don't think I've ever heard a ice cream van not play
Ours
green sleeves.
plays, what is it, Jack and Jill? I don't even know
the
what that
Entertainer
song
is one that
Yeah.
we get a lot around here.
And
And
then there was one that played Christmas music.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
It was
But
very
just all
strange.
year round. Like
Yeah.
Oh. The one playing the Entertainer though, I'll be like, oh, someone. There's a screening of The Sting nearby. I better go.
I always like the Doppler effect when it's like 3 or 4 blocks away, and like once it gets past all the houses and trees, it's just like in a weird minor key. So you get like this weird, far away, sad version of the Entertainer playing.
Yeah.
I was like, you could have had ice cream if I was a little closer. But too bad. But yeah. So Well, one thing though is that presumably the Joker has to steer this thing. But I can't imagine he pre-programmed this to fly in the window. So I guess we see him like holding the phone line and like the handset. But I guess that he would have to put that down, do the thing I could never do, of like putting the phone in between your shoulder and your ear.
What? That was easy.
Yeah.
Oh, I could never do it. And then it was just, maybe it was too awkward. But like, and then he'd have to pick up the thing, and then I guess he might be like in a phone booth across the street or something, just to be like, so get that up there. And I'm guessing again too, he probably had to be like, can you tell me which room she's in? Like to the people at the front desk to get where like, oh yeah, she's in room 17B. It's like, so that's 17 floors up, but no, actually, do you count the lobby as floor 1, or are you counting from?
Also, are you one of those weird buildings that doesn't have a 13th floor? I'm going to have to account for that.
Yeah, so he's just there for ages talking to people. There's a queue outside the phone booth because it's still pre-mobile technology and stuff.
The guy at the front desk is like, you're not flying a bomb into this room, are you?
No.
And also, too, he
Sir.
seems to... The Joker launches into things as if, like, well, you know who I am, right? It's because my iconic voice. So he'd have to be like, I'm totally not the Joker. What could you please tell me?
I'm Clayface.
It is I, Clayface.
As long as it's not the Joker, then it's fine. We'll help you.
Like, is he sitting there hand painting all these bombs and things, or like, does he have people do it for him?
Does he have like a brand management team?
Yeah.
He seems like someone who would be hands-on, I think.
I think, like, this thing, too, is like, is this drone designed to hold these kind of things, or was he there with like a hammer banging the thing in so it would fit into the thing? I think that's probably pretty dangerous, but, I do like theatricality, so...
I just had this image in my head of the Joker with those like magnifying glasses on, and he's like painting the detail lines on
It
things.
looks very like those old bombers you'd get in... Did they have them in the Second World War or slightly after? Where they'd paint like shark faces on them and things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like a telegram for Hitler or whatever
Yeah.
they would write on the bombs.
With the Dr. Strangelove thing. I think they've all got the stuff written on the bombs, right?
Yeah.
But now I think this version of the Joker seems to be out in the world of tomorrow by himself. So I guess, unless like when he blows up everything at the end, I was like, oh no, I had like 15 goons in there as well, but the hell with them. The guys, they were just off minding their own business somewhere. But so I guess he would be there, just like hand painting all this stuff himself. It's like gotta do something with my days, so it's flying towards the window. Thankfully, got the right one. And then, Batman makes a short thrift of it by just flinging a batarang at it and blowing it up. It would have been something, though, if the Joker was just like, if this did work and he killed Batman this way, and finding out later, like, wait, so did I kill it? Like, but Batman's dead. Like, I got him that way? Oh.
Imagine how disappointed he'd be.
Yeah.
Because, like, now what is he going to do?
Isn't that a joke in the Harley Quinn show where he finally catches Batman and rips the mask off and he's upset? The Joker's upset, like he didn't want to know that it was Bruce. Like that's part of the fun for him, that he doesn't know who he is.
Yeah. But then the conclusion of the minute, of course, then we do cut to the world of tomorrow. And Andrea is standing there, but we kind of get more into that in the next minute. So shall we move on to minute 60?
We will head off into the dark night. We won't do plugs today. We're going to do them on Friday. So do join us again in just a couple of days, because we'll be back with more exciting Bat-Minute action. See you then, Batmates.
Next time, Domo arigato, Mrs. Roboto. As the Phantasm readies to finish her final foe, we flash back to her father being fatalized by a proto-Perot. But as Andy re-enters the mist to slash another from her list, could the copulating king of cackles be gearing up for a kinky mechanical thrust? Be careful what you stick in a socket before Friday, Bat fans. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.
must have top, tiefid tabitane.